This is episode 3 of the Trailkings podcast. Today we're going to be talking about what brand of machines we drive and why we decide to go with that brand. Stick around to the end and where we share our thoughts. Would we switch to a different brand and why we would switch? All right, we'll start with Doug. Doug, you're not the most recent buy, but you know, I guess we had more conversation before you bought your current machine, which way you're going to go. Let's get into that. Why did you choose the current? Well, first explain what machine that you currently have, and then we'll get into the conversation we had about going that way.
Yeah. So I have a 2021 Rzr Pro XP Ultimate. And so I did, this is the second Rzr I've had. The first one was a 2018 XP 1000. Both of them are 4-seater. And so, I mean, I went back and forth with this purchase with a bunch of different things. I looked at all the machines and I tried every which way to get all the things that I wanted. So like a ride command type system, with, you know, looking at different machines. And I couldn't find one machine that gave me everything that I wanted.
Can you kind of go into what all those things you're looking for?
Well, so I guess part of it was I'd already had a Rzr, and I had good luck with it. I didn't have any issues with my 2018. But at the same time, since I guess I made my decision up to buy the 2018 before I bought it. So when it was real simple, it was time to get one, I just went and got a Rzr. But since then, so many different machines had come out. And they weren't just in their inaugural year. They've been tested, you know, Kawasaki, Honda, and then Can-Am's gotten better. And so when it was time to buy this one, it was kind of like, oh, okay, well, all these other machines are out there, so let me see what I want. I didn't really know what all I wanted.
Yeah.
And so what I did know, though, is just from your experience with the ride command in the system, I'd use my phone, and that's neat. I mean, it'll get the job done, but it's not the same as having everything right there on your dashboard, and everything just built into it. And so this was before Garmin came out with their new system that tracks your ride and all that stuff. And so that may have changed a little bit if that was out, but I couldn't find anything that just worked flawlessly like with the ride command type system. Built into a machine. I thought about,
because it was also looking for like the smart shock technology.
Yeah.
Because by that time I had the Turbo S Dynamics with the smart shocks, and so he was comparing Can-Am's X3 smart shock package against the Polaris dynamic system.
Yeah.
And you were leaning hard Can-Am X3.
Yeah.
Because he talked to someone that had an X3.
Yes. A guy down where I live, and he's had a bunch of different machines, and so he was just real big on the Can-Am, and that's where I started getting really big into it, and just I kept searching for ways to, you know, okay, if I bought this, how could I make a ride command system work in this machine? And at the end of the day, it just came down to the Rzr, the Pro XP Ultimate had everything in it already. It had the live system, the shock system, and so it was like, well, why am I trying to jump through all these hoops to make it work this way when right now I can go get this machine?
Well, what he's talking about is like, he was talking about trying to figure out a way to actually install the ride command 7-inch screen in an X3. We've seen some forums where some guys have been able to do it, because really the GPS system is a standalone system. Now you have your other metrics it tracks, and it connects to the ECU and helps track it if you can find the right wires.
Right.
But that's what we're trying to figure out. You know, is there a plug and play harness that will literally go right into an X3, into the ride command system, and be able to operate it straight from your dash? Yeah. And the reason why the ride command's probably so valuable for us is we have kids. It really does make it convenient with that V2V system. It allows you to see exactly where someone is on the trail behind you. Are they moving? Are they not moving?
Right.
That's probably a whole podcast in itself.
It probably is, and that was the thing at the time when I bought mine. So I've had it just over a year now. So when I bought mine, we couldn't find anything that existed that would accomplish that.
Correct, yeah.
And so, you know, to go spend all this money on a machine that you then have to turn around and do these things to when the Pro XP Ultimate had everything I wanted is what ultimately made the decision. But yeah, I mean,
radio.
Yeah, it's built in. It's all tied
Dynamics.
into the dash. Radio, the speakers came with it,
recommend
everything. Yeah,
everything.
So it just that at the time made the most sense. And I had good luck with my 2018 Polaris or the Rzr, so I didn't have any issues with that. So I didn't have. It was not like I got burned on something. I was trying to get away from it. It just was all these options out there, and it came down to what I really wanted in it in a machine. It was already in it. So that's why I went back with the Rzr.
Now, have you only owned Polarises throughout, like four-wheelers, side-by-sides, all that?
Yeah, pretty much, other than Coleman. but that's, you know,
Boom, a big
I'm not
hard
trying to
hitter
beat
machine
up,
up there.
You know, the scramblers, but for what they were fine.
They serve their place within the market,
did.
yeah.
And so, but really, since I've got into this, really, I just had side-by-sides, and it's been Rzrs.
All Polaris, yeah.
And my brother has a Polaris Rzr. My dad had a Polaris Rzr. So it was, when I came into it, that was just what you were going to get.
What
so
everybody
it
had.
just made sense. Yeah.
So my journey's a little different. So back when I was growing up, we started out with Hondas, Honda four-wheelers. That was real big for us. Once I got into college and got my own, my first four-wheeler was a Honda 500 Foreman. Did great until one of the gearings busted on it. And so from there, I went to a Can-Am Outlander, which if anybody's been riding for a while, that was back when they were fairly new, those red body styles and ton of power. So I've never been brand loyal. I'm kind of like you, where, you know, as long as it has everything I'm looking for, you know, that's where I go. Obviously, it's got to be a good quality machine. It can't break down. It's got to be dependable. So from Can-Am, I was really wanting where did I go from Can-Am? From the four-wheeler, I went to a four-seat Rzr. 800, this is when they just came up with the 900, and we're like having a conversation with the dealership before I bought it. I'm like, oh, this is the new 900, 800, you get a better deal. I'm like, 800's all you need, right? They're not gonna go bigger than 900. Well, was we wrong about that one?
Definitely bigger in every aspect, yeah.
Every aspect. So, had the 800. From there, I went to a two-seat Can-Am Maverick, the OG Maverick. It was fun. You know, didn't like that the engine placement was in the center. Overall, it did well for me. I actually traded that for a Ranger. And before I did that trade, I think before I went to the X3, or for the Maverick OG, there was one point where I really wanted the Can-Am's version of the Ranger. And they didn't have it out on the market yet. And there was no clue when they were going to come out with it. And I think that's just when I made my switch to Polaris. Had the Ranger Ranger Crew. We lifted that up. That's back when we did a lot of mud. From there, what I had after that?
Your two-seat Rzr.
We got the two-seat Rzr.
XP 1000, yeah.
And then so by then, it's just, Polaris has been something I've had since, I guess, 2011. So over 11 years now, 12 years, I've had a Polaris, which they all have their weaknesses, they all have their strengths. We're not bashing any brand over the other. That's just the reality facts. Anybody that says, hey, I'm this brand, I can find a weakness on it. I can find where stuff is constantly break on it, no matter what it is. So for me, it's always, and I tell people this all the time, is find what you like driving. Find the style of seating you like, find the look that you're looking for, and go with that brand, because one is not necessarily superior over the other, just in my opinion. But I think at this point we have a lot of Polarises now, and I'm not a Polaris fanboy. It just has the things I'm looking for. Yeah. You know, if Can-Am would come out with a system that you can track other riders, or someone integrate a harness that you can install ride command, that would probably be the better option. You know, maybe instead of getting the Pro R, we're getting an X3, and now we're expanding our demographic in brands that we have.
Right. Well, you saw they just released their new lineup. Can-Am did a little while ago, And that was, they didn't come out with a screen with tracking and all that stuff. And you could see, if you read through the comments, that's what was repeated over and over again. Was like, I really thought this was the year where you're going to come out with something that would compete with a Ride Command or something like that, or really show up against the Pro R, and it wasn't. And so I think even Can-Am loyalists or whatever are getting frustrated with not having a solution like that. But that's, I mean, I read that probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 times over comments just, you know, when the day it came out.
Yeah.
So.
And it might not be a big deal to other people, but I mean, just with our two families, when we go out and all the kids are driving, we got 6, 7 machines, and then you start getting spaced out, it becomes important, especially when kids are involved with youth machines and the type of riding we're doing. We're not just doing, you know, flat road trails. We are in the mountains. People do stop, and right on their screen, you're able to have indicators to tell you when they stop. If radios go down, phones go down, you can text communicate through that Ride Command. So, you know, those are always been big benefits of us. But now, I mean, we have the climb to 100,000 subscribers, that the campaign we're doing, and that whole campaign is there where we can commit to getting other brand machines to test out against what our experience has been with the Polaris machines. And when that starts happening, you know, I'm not against trying to figure out, you know, how do we integrate Ride Command in some way, or, you know, test out the Garmin system. You know, I know very little about it. I think all those systems are going to have their own bugs you got to work through. The only issue I have with the Garmin system is it's not as integrated into the machine as the Ride Command. You know, Ride Command is molded in. That Garmin system, you still have it on, you know, some type of stick sticking out. You know, it comes down to cosmetics and what you're looking for.
Yeah, and it goes back to like when we were trying to find something when I was looking for a different machine. It goes back to, you know, like that one just solves the group ride part of it.
If everybody has a Garmin, that's the other
If everybody
problem.
has it, but that's what I mean. But you get that, you still don't have it integrated, like you're saying, with all the information that you can pull up on your Ride Command screen. And that's what Can-Am I think needs to do, or, you know, I haven't even looked inside the Hondas, but all the brands need to have some form of that, I think, for, you know, for people like me, because you're right, like you can see whoever's leading the pack can see exactly if I'm not coming along with the group, hey, what's going on? You know, and you just know without having to figure out or turn around on the trail or anything like that. So it's really convenient.
All right, so we'll move on to the next question is, would we switch brands and why? And so we'll start with you. Is there a brand out there that you were just really interested in, or even, you know, since then changed your mind about, you know, what would they need to switch you over, or, you know, is there something that's recently happened with your machine that you would look at switching?
So yeah, the 2021 hasn't been perfect. So I've had some issues with the turbo and some other things. Really, well, mainly the turbo is the big thing. They actually end up having to replace it. But it wasn't. It's not like I didn't want the machine anymore, or that I wouldn't. I love the Rzr, but I would. I've got a buddy of mine down there he's always telling me, you got to try a Kawasaki. He's like, I'm telling you, if you drive one, you're not going to go back to your Rzr. And he goes, now, if you're looking for power, that's not it. That's not the solution. He goes, but everything else, he goes, they just don't break. They never, you know. And again, other than the turbo, I really haven't had any issues. I know I'm jinxing myself right now, so I shouldn't be saying that, but I really haven't. And so it's not like I've had all this trouble and I'm just looking for a different brand. But I have always heard that the Kawasaki's are just reliable. They never break down. They're solid machines. And so I'd really like to try that. And now they just come out with a 4-seater. And so now I could actually try it. I've got a family. I can't just go to a 2-seater because my boys and my wife love to ride. So that's something. So no, I would certainly try another brand. And that's probably, if I had to pick one right now, that's probably what I would try.
The Kawasaki?
Yeah.
So would I switch now? Because from a bad experience, I really haven't had bad experience. We've got really lucky with without my initial frustrations about our Pro R. Outside of that, we got lucky with the mechanics and it operating the way it should with the power and you know, the diffs and all those things. So there's not a reason why I would switch. What I'm interested in, I think, man, the Talons. I'm frustrated with the Talon. I wish they would have put, and I haven't drove one in person yet, but I wish they had put the speedometer, everything in front of the steering wheel. I'd be really inclined to get it then. But with a Talon with a custom cage, man, that sucker looks good to me. I don't know why, but it just looks mean. It's not as wide I would like, but I think if there was a machine I would try, it'd probably be a Talon. Obviously, I want to try an X3. I mean, the seating position is totally different than what I've heard, used to for 11 years now. So I don't know how I would feel about that. But you might feel more comfortable going up some steep stuff. I mean, there's sometimes in the Turbo S, especially with the Stony Lonesome, when you get vertical, I mean, it just feels different. You can just feel it in your chest. And I don't know, it's because, you know, how the shocks are on the dynamics and you're just pushed off further from the wall or what. But so I would say if I had to switch, or I was looking to switch, I would look at the Honda Talon and the X3 probably. You know, two brands that have been around for a while. And outside of the, you know, the known issues you got to look at, you know, the bulkhead on the X3 needs to be changed or reinforced. I think the Talon, it's really the shifting. I think it's really the ECU. And it shocks me. I probably wouldn't get a Talon just now, and I think about it, until they comes factory with the turbo. You know, that's frustrating. You know, have all these options from K&M and Polaris, and then Kawasaki and Honda hit the market without a turbo option. You know, Honda has the aftermarket turbo option you can put on there, but as consumers, like, you shouldn't have to be a mechanic to buy a machine and then add the turbo to it. In my opinion, I mean, I know a lot of us out there like to tinker and like to work with it, but you know, for the normal consumer, they're not going to do that. They're just going to work with what the manufacturer provides.
Well, it goes back to what you talked about. For the money that these things cost now, you should have the option to have that. So I know that'd be more, but still, at that point, you can put a turbo in it. They have the technology. So
I hope that better explains why we drive what we drive. I don't feel we're Polaris fanboys, but you know, we try to keep an open mind. There's a welder that we use for a lot of stuff around here. He's even come to me and complimented. He's like, man, when I talk to you about it, you know, you point out, just get what you want. And he wants a Kawasaki. I think a Kawasaki Mule. Like, that's not my preference.
But yeah, hey.
But that's what he wants. And, you know, at the end of the day, hell, it's his money. You know, and so get exactly what you want. Don't let, you know, the forums sway you one way or another if they're just bashing one manufacturer over the other. They all have their issues. They all have, I can't say it enough, they all have their issues. The difference is knowing what that machine's issue is to fix it. The KRX was new to the market. The drive shaft connecting to the front diff would bust. They all have their issues somewhere. You just got to figure out the weak points, replace it, maybe not overkill it, or have a spare part for it, and then just get out on the trail and have some fun. So thank you for sticking with another episode of Trail Kings podcast. Until next time, stay safe on the trail.